Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to Wrestling Gab. That's
Hello.
Dalitha. I'm Travis. It's Monday.
Yeah.
That means it's time for a recap of what happened on Raw today. Because I didn't watch it.
Oh, did you?
So I have very little information other than what the internet says and what Bianca wore. And I did hear Postman Pierce announce a match for WrestleMania.
So you did or didn't watch it?
I did not.
Oh, okay. So anyways, so we know that it was on Netflix, guys, and it is not a live show. It is taped now. If you didn't watch it on Netflix, you probably can go on Netflix if you have it and watch it. So I'm going to tell you this. We are not going to stay for the show because we're not watching it. What I'm going to do is give spoilers and results. If you do not want to know that information, leave now. Don't come back for at least a half an hour. We'll be gone by then. Anyways, but that's what we're going to do. Hi to the people in the chat. Walter, Brandon, Sophie, thank you guys for stepping in and saying hi for a minute. This whole thing, doing their European tour and making it live there and recorded here is, I hope it's opened some eyes for them, that it's great and awesome that they're doing stuff in Europe. That's fantastic. But at the same time, I think that they're going after the wrong
Demographic.
I feel like they're going after the wrong trophy. I feel like they're not investing in the fans that can watch them all the time live. And that's fine. I mean, I'm not saying that Europe doesn't deserve to have, but I would rather it be pay-per-views that they do over there, maybe a couple shows or something here and there, or maybe if they have a pay-per-view, they do, book in the shows at that place for the pay-per-view or something of that nature. But this has been very nice in a way, but terrible in another way, because now I've almost gotten used to us only being here for a half an hour and having other time, and I will not be having that after tonight. Anyways, so Brandon said, hey, Wrestling Gab, and Walter had said hi to both of us. He's going to be at 9. He's going, but I'll be here Wednesday. Well, I don't know if you're still here, Walter, but Sophie was also in the chat and says, hi, they can't wait for Friday where you're back to normal.
Oh, my God.
WWE is thinking about hosting a major pay-per-view in India in 26 or 27.
I saw that. They did one there before. It was the spectacle. The old spectacle.
The spectacle.
The spectacle.
That was like a few years ago. Travis, the whole time he was doing it, because he did a live show.
Yeah, I was doing that live.
He literally called it a spectacle.
What does that even mean?
Until an hour to the end of the show or something. It was almost over.
Well, then they said it.
And he's
spectacle, and I'm like,
oh, that makes more sense.
Oh, fuck.
Spectacle.
Well, hopefully nobody knows that I'm retarded. But it was funny because I'm like, is it something to do with football?
Right.
Like, there's no football themes. I couldn't think of anything why there would be tackling.
Anyway, so Sophie also said, I can't wait for next week's Raw where everything is back to normal. Sophie also says that you don't want them to be live in Europe then. They can be live in Europe, but I'm going to tell you this much. It probably, for most streaming places, it's not going to be very friendly. Like, that's just not a friendly thing to try to do in the middle of the day. I mean, you would literally have to either, that's all you do, not have a regular job during the day, or you had a job, like a swing shift job or something. Anyways, Harley's in the chat and Hassan's in the chat as well. Harley says, hello, everyone. Hello. And Hassan says, hi there, guys. I got my new haircut yesterday, and it was good. I'm glad you got a new haircut. Perfect. All right, once again, one more disclaimer. We are going to give spoilers and results for the Raw that happened earlier today in London, England. So if you do not want to know those, and you are going to rewatch it or watch the rerun on Netflix, leave. Run away as fast as you can. Otherwise, here we go. Raw started out with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes decided to take care of business and come out first, so John Cena couldn't. He took it away from him, and then John Cena's probably going to cry, I bet. Anyways, Cody Rhodes said, no. We've heard you talk for 2 weeks. Allow me, John Cena, to do your job for you. So he kind of talked and went back and, forth what John had been saying before, how he gave him a hard time about what he was back in WWE before, like Stardust and all that stuff. He talked and made fun of him about his lisp, and we all know, and I'm pretty sure Cody Rhodes is very aware of his speech impediment, and I'm sure he has done lots of things to take care of that as time has gone on. And so he came back on that and kind of was like, oh yeah, you really ribbed me, ha ha ha, and everything like that. That he's got a tattoo, but it's on his neck, and he got booed in a company he created, and like all this stuff. So he basically just, addressed everything that John Cena had said prior.
That line was diabolical. I got booed in a company I created.
John Cena then comes out and says, I'm not trying to reduce myself and punch down to your level. So he's trying to, talk back and all that stuff, and doesn't give a rat's ass about your lisp or your failures, and he's telling him how he's probably manipulated his way to his top of the business. Your ego outmatches your ability. And he's saying how Cody rode the coattails of John's success, and that's how he got where he is. All that great stuff. He had a lot to say, let's put it that way. You can go online. I mean, you can find what he said or find that clip. It's a lot of words. He talked about how he said that Cody Rhodes gives a generic mix of every superstar he's ever loved or TV show he's ever watched in some big confused blob. It makes you look like a 6-year-old kid taking acting lessons. Who's still afraid of public speaking. So he tried to diss him and everything like that. So Cody Rhodes came back and he said, I didn't expect you to say this, but maybe you're right. Maybe I was chosen. But you know who chose me? They chose me. So he's talking to the audience, right? Can you say the same? No. Or was it a guy in an office that chose you that's not here anymore? And we don't talk about him. Oh no! So he's giving his ribbing right back at him. And he said, let's go ahead and strip everything away from me. I don't know who I am. Well, who the hell knows who they are? I know this. I'm Cody Rhodes. I'm a wrestler, like my father before me. And if anybody has company creation, it's you, John Cena, and not me. He says everyone's afraid, terrified of you on the mic. And he's like, I'm not, because I know you got more dick in that promo than you do in your jorts. I read this a minute ago. And I was laughing. So, you want to make fun of me for appearing like I'm 16 taking public speaking lessons? This is Cody Rhodes talking to John Cena, by the way. I'm quoting Cody Rhodes. Well, you're the one that hangs out with Zac Efron and wishes he was 16. And what a softball. Thank you, Sean. What a softball you throw me by saying you created all of this. You created me. Here's what you created, pal. You created a lot of disenfranchised fans who made it easy for me to pack up and go elsewhere. And say, hey, look at me. Don't act like you cleaned up your room before you left and went to Hollywood, John. Don't act like you left WWE better than you found it. And while we're at it, there are two of us standing in this ring right now, and what I'm about to ask you might punch a giant hole in all the logic you just threw up, and it's quite simple. Between you and I, which one of us sold out to The Rock? So there's your Rock reference, right? Sophie, you've been yakking about how they never bring up The Rock, and John Cena never says anything about him, yada yada. So Cody Rhodes brings it up, and John Cena retorts back. That, like all the people out there, that his brain's filled with shit and not facts, and yak, yak, yak. And Cody Rhodes spits back at him, no, I just want to remind you all the time that I've been here and everything I've been through, never once has an audience, never once have they chanted at me, you can't wrestle. So then, of course, Cena drops the microphone. They look ready to fight. Cody ducks his punch. and then hits him with a crossroads to close the segment. So that's the end of that segment, by the way. So that was it. That's how they started off the show. And all that. Let's see. Sophie said at least with these early Raws, the day is not completely over by the time it ends. Piccolo says y'all seem so refreshed. Almost feel like these couple weeks have been a vacay for y'all.
It is
very
nice.
much. Piccolo.
Plus, I've had a terrible sore throat for like a week, but now it seems like it's going away, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Sophie says, I already have seen it. We won't have an international until the end of August. Cool. Piccolo says they pushed his chauffeur to the moon, and Cody even mentioned Stardust. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Sophie says John Cena also kind of indirectly mentioned Tony Khan in his promo where he said that Cody took money from kids or something like that. And Piccolo says, I'm happy everything nowadays is not manufactured. Cough 9.99 Cough 9.99 WWE Network, the WWE Universe.
Right.
Sophie says, we know Dee will be very happy when Raw is back at its original time next week, but John Cena never answered Cody after Cody mentioned The Rock. Yeah, he didn't say anything about it. That's fine, but The Rock finally got brought up, right? I mean, that's what everybody's been hoping for, I guess. Or whatever. Anyways, then they did a video package on Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair, their rivalry and what's going on there. But the first match of the night was the New Day versus the New Catch Republic. And if you don't remember who the New Catch Republic is, like moi, let's remind you. It is a guy named Bate and Butch. Butch and Bate. Bate and Butch.
Oh, Jesus.
Versus Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston.
The Bait Bush.
the Bait Butch.
Team Bait Bush.
The Bait Butch is out there. Anyways, so they did some action. I'm not going to tell you everything. If you really want to know, you can go read it or probably watch clips.
Terrible wrestling team.
Anyways.
Some people might like him.
Anyways, Bate is back. He's injured and stuff like that, so there it is.
He's the new 5 Feet of Fury.
Yeah.
That used to be Alexa Bliss, but he took her crown.
But Bate has some really weird names for some of his stuff. But anyways, so let's see. What drives New Day connects, New Day break, with the victory. And the New Day is the winner by pinfall. And after the match, the New Day tells Kathy Kelly that they demand a shot at the World Tag Team Championship. The New Day had a huge standoff with the War Raiders on the stage.
Ooh,
and then after that match, they had Jimmy Uso. They went to him and talked to him. And Jimmy's all like, knows that the entire world has been doubting Jay. But tonight he's going to handle business with Gunther. And there will be no ring general. It's a man who can be beat. And Jimmy says that he's going to beat him. Just like Jay is going to beat him at WrestleMania and become the World Heavyweight Champion. Jay tells Jimmy to be careful out there. Then Michael Cole and Pat McAfee will be hosting this year's WWE Hall of Fame ceremony. Just so if you guys are excited about that and want to know, that's that. Then they had the second match, Gunther versus Jimmy Uso. So they went right into it. And Gunther starts laughing, chops and haymakers and big boots. And Gunther tosses Jimmy around, a power bomb, but Jimmy counters. All that stuff. The suicide dive. Jimmy rolls. Gunther chops Jimmy in midair. Gunther with a belly-to-back suplex on the apron. He's a short arm lariat. Gunther has complete control of the match during the commercial break.
They said lariat?
Lariat. Yeah, these people did.
Huh. Wow.
Jimmy slaps Gunther in the face. Jimmy thrust kicks the midsection of Gunther. So, supposedly, it makes Gunther look like he's really shitty because all of a sudden now Jimmy's so much better.
I know,
than
Jimmy's terrible.
Regular wrestler. So, yeah.
And now our champion's getting beat up by a tag team wrestler.
Yeah. So, after the match, out for a lariat 2 count. Gunther chops the back of Jimmy's neck. Gunther makes Jimmy pass out to the rear naked choke. So he choked him out and made him cry. And then after the match, Gunther locks in another one. Jay storms in the ring to make the save. Jay tackles Gunther. Jay is throwing haymakers at Gunther. Gunther starts running away from Jay. Jay is trying to walk Jimmy to the back. Gunther attacks the Usos from behind. Gunther throws Jay into the steel ring steps. And Gunther slaps Jay in the chest. Then Gunther crashes out on security guards. Drives Jay's face first in the steel ring post. Gunther rakes the eyes of Jay. Zip ties Jay's hands to the middle rope. And he's forcing Jay to watch him destroy his brother. Gunther says that Jay is not on his level. Gunther blasts Jimmy with the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther asks Jay if he can handle the pressure. Jimmy is busted open and bleeding, and Gunther plants Jimmy with a powerbomb. Transitions to a ground and pound attack. Starts wiping Jimmy's blood all over his chest and pulls Jimmy away from Jay. Gunther is raining down hammer blows, locks in the sleeper hold. Jay says that he's going to kill Gunther. And then Gunther is the winner of that anyways, but they say via referee stoppage, which he was already the winner because he choked him out and passed him out, so it was over, and then that was after the match. And then they got a video recap of the big Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins WrestleMania contract signing from last week's SmackDown. You probably, if you haven't watched it, you probably should. Lots of things happened, supposedly. All the things. People says, I'm happy, everything. Oh, read that, and read that. So we said, I finally got YouTube TV. Cool beans.
Did it. Well, I'm glad.
Yeah. So then we've got Liv Morgan is glad to see that Dominik Mysterio and Finn Balor are in good spirits. Brothers always fight like cats and dogs. Now that the funny business about adding a new member is behind them, they can focus on what's important, and that's bringing gold back to the clubhouse. And it starts tonight with the Judgment Day putting down Braun Breaker and Penta. Finn is looking forward to bringing the IC title to the clubhouse, unlike Raquel Rodriguez. Cody Rhodes.
Because Rack Rod is terrible.
So now you know that Cody Rhodes will be a special guest on this week's edition of Stephanie's Places on ESPN+.
Yeah. Old Steph.
If you guys are excited to
right
know
in her special
any of
place.
that information. Are the dogs inside or outside?
One's outside, one's inside.
Oh.
The big one's outside. The little one's inside.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Third match: Braun Breaker and Penta versus Judgment Day with Carlito. So it started out with Penta and Dominik in the ring. Balor grabs Penta from behind after the bell rings. They're trying to beat up Penta. Dom repeatedly stomps on Penta's back and chest. So they're just beating the crap out of him and all that good stuff. Then Breaker gets involved, grabs Balor by his throat with a gut punch. Breaker applies a side headlock. Balor whips Breaker across the ring. Balor drops down on the canvas. Breaker power slams Balor in midair. Breaker with a leaping back elbow smash. Penta tags himself in. And then with a running Enzuguri, whatever that is. Penta sweeps out the legs of Balor. Penta with a delayed corner drop kick. Penta with a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker to Dom. All that good stuff. Then Judgment Day retains control of the match during the commercial break. Dom tags in Balor. Balor does some moves. Let's see if something else happened. So Penta gets Dom with a backstabber, and Breaker and Balor tagged in. Breaker with a leaping shoulder tackle. Breaker with two haymakers. Breaker follows with that with a 2 overhead belly-to-belly suplex. Balor kicks Breaker in the gut. Breaker with a double vertical suplex. And let's see, Penta, Doomsday. The referee is distracted by Carlito after Penta super kicks Balor, and Dom runs interference. So the referee is distracted by Carlito, and then Penta goes for the Mexican Destroyer, but Dom gets in the way. Breaker inadvertently spears Penta. Balor chucks Breaker out of the ring. Mysterio with a wrecking ball drop kick. Balor connects with the coup de grace to pick up the victory. So the Judgment Day won via pinfall and pinned Penta.
Oh, wow. It's about time. And then they can start their tag team adventure once Rey Phoenix shows up.
Yeah.
And that might just be wait until they get back into America.
Yeah.
Because didn't he have issues traveling before in AEW?
Maybe.
Phoenix? He's the one that...
He probably did. Anyways, and then in the back, they have Chad Gable. He praises Adam Pearce. So he's talking to Adam Pearce for signing the El Grande Americano dude. He would even like to have a match with him. Pearce says that the LWO wants to fight with Gable, but he can't complete because he's supposedly sick. And then Gable gives Pearce another doctor's note. So, another doctor's note from Gable to Pearce that happened. And then Gable says that he'll be fine by next week since Raw will be in his hometown of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Pearce is looking out for Gable's health, so El Grande Americano will be competing on Raw next week. The Alpha Academy then enters the office. And they want to discuss business, not only for Otis and Tozawa, but Maxine Dupree all of a sudden would like to form a tag team with Natalya.
You know, low key, Triple H has been, I'm going to give him a little bit of credit, building the tag team division. Like, you haven't seen, like, it's slow, but it's starting to come. And with the addition of the Lucha Bros, you know, and then you're starting to see these other tag teams.
Yeah.
I think we may have a tag team division that's worthy of the belts in the next year or so.
Maybe, yeah.
Because as of now, there's no reason to have 2 sets of belts. That's fucking stupid. It is so dumb. But I understand they're going to travel in different areas and stuff, so...
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yep. Anyway, so then they go to Penta, who's pissed at Braun, and the two get into a big shoving contest and had to be separated by referees and producers, just so you know. AJ Styles in a Logan Paul segment. AJ Styles have been talking, waiting in the back patiently, saying that Logan Paul was going to call him out. Then Logan starts talking, I hear you, AJ, and talks about him. And then AJ responds about forgiving people. And then Logan's like, forgive me? What do you mean you forgive me? And AJ's like, hear me out, folks. I forgive you, Logan, for being the biggest douchebag that ever stepped foot in a WWE ring. You brag about your success, your money. These fans don't care about that. They care about what you're willing to sacrifice in this ring for them. Anyways, and then Logan Paul's like, I'd ask you for advice, but you know what they say, don't take advice from anyone you wouldn't want to trade places with. AJ's like, that's funny, that's cute. Actually, you know what else they say? And Logan Paul's like, don't write a check. What? What do y'all know about checks? London, congrats, you're broke. You're broke, you're poor. AJ's like, that's actually perfect for what they're saying. Don't let your mouth write a check that your ass can't cash. And Logan's like, is that a threat? And AJ's like, is that a threat? This is Monday Night Raw. We are in London, England. Got my gear on. Stand in the middle of a ring. Logan, what do you think?
Logan whoops his ass. That's all I know.
Logan's like, I think you're just saying a bunch of stuff that's true. Here's what I think. I'm done talking. AJ knows it. London, you know it. Logan Paul does not fight for free. The fact is, the city can't afford me. Everyone here is broke. Congratulations, you're broke. You, yeah, you're broke. Congrats. You, yeah, you. I bet you spent your entire savings to get a front row seat for what? Look at you. Logan Paul is calling you poor. How about this, AJ? We call a spade a spade. I know what you want. You want that big money match with Logan Paul. So how about this, buddy? How about you set your sights higher? So Styles blocks a boot from Logan, and Styles is throwing haymakers at Logan. Logan blocks the Styles clash. Styles avoids the titanium punch. Styles slams Logan's head on the announce table. Logan drives the middle rope into the nether regions of Styles. Logan hits the pulverizer to close the segment. So next week on Raw, Lyra Valkyria will put her WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship on the line against Bayley.
Not Bayley.
Yep, Bayley.
Bayley.
Yep, we've gone down the road for Bayley is now a mid-carder. Anyways, and then Adam Pearce breaks the news that, guess what? After all those shenanigans out there, AJ and Logan...
Logan, you wanted a match at WrestleMania. You got it.
There's his match. So he's going to have a match with AJ Styles at WrestleMania. Now we have 20 matches for WrestleMania. It's going to be great.
There seems to be a lot of matches.
They talk about Seth Rollins returning to Raw next week, and then they have Finn Balor in the back again. He's so excited. He's going to go talk to Adam about his shot at the Intercontinental Championship. And Liv tells Dom that Finn wants to piggyback off his success. And Liv tells him that she's going to talk with Pearce about what he's done after he's done talking to Finn. So we'll see how well that works out for everybody.
Seems to be very nice.
I have a feeling that she's going to do stuff. Anyways, Sophie had said this episode of Raw wasn't that bad. We only got 2 more before Mania. See you Friday for the first live episode of SmackDown. This episode of Raw flew by. And feels like, Lyra, nice knowing you, champ. Right? So the 4th match of the night, and I think that was the end of it, which is really sad. Because that whole show was 2 hours and 33 minutes, and they had 4 matches. That's pretty gay. That's gay.
Very happy. Very happy.
Alright, so the fourth match was the Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley for the WWE Women's World Championship. And, of course, Bianca Belair is the special guest referee for this match.
That means you know it's not ending well.
Yeah, so we know that it's probably not going to end very well. Looks like Io tried to do a lot of her jumping and throwing herself around and flying in the sky. And Rhea did a lot of hitting her while she was in the sky, grabbing her from the sky, and doing lots of stuff on her. But Sky tried to do a whole bunch of other moves, right. It looks like. They had some exchanges of the forearm, the foot stomp, and I'm not seeing anything where Belair gets involved in a lot of it.
She probably doesn't until the end when she gets knocked out.
Yeah. So Ripley did hit the riptide on her, but Belair is laid out on the floor. Ripley tells Belair to get in the ring and make the count. So somehow Belair got hit somewhere.
Yeah, it was probably one of those accidental hits. And then knowing her temper, she got upset about it.
Yeah, it doesn't really say. But anyways, so I guess she was laid out on the floor at some point. Anyways, and so she gets in the ring, kicks out, and then Ripley continues to bicker with Belair instead of doing her job. Ripley does some other stuff, more ground and pound stuff. Belair pulls Ripley off Sky. Ripley slaps Belair in the face. And Sky inadvertently wipes out Belair with a missile drop kick. Ripley attacks Sky from behind. Belair decides to call off the match. She's had enough. This match has ended due to a double disqualification.
I like the dibble.
Sorry, double. Dibble.
It's a dibble.
Double dibble.
The old double dibble.
The double dibble. Double disqualification after the match. Ripley and Belair start brawling on the outside. Sky with his springboard rolls the ring. Sky tees off on Ripley. Belair rocks Sky with a forearm smash. So they just do a whole bunch of weird stuff, and Ripley poses with the Women's World Championship as the show goes off the air. That show lasted 2 hours and 33 minutes, which is ridiculous for that much stuff. Anyways, so that's what happened. That was the winners, if you wanted to know who the winners were. It was nobody in the last one, because they were both disqualified, so the champion retained in the women's match. And the one before that, the third match of the night, was the Judgment Day. Won that. And then the second match was Gunther winning against Jimmy Uso. And then the first match of the night was the New Day win against the guy that came back in the New Catch Republic. And then there was a lot of talking between John Cena, Cody Rhodes, AJ Styles, and Logan Paul to set up some more WrestleMania matches, because we need 5,000 of them instead of 2. All right, let's see. Piccolo says Lyra and Nice Knowing You champion. Sophie said it is in 2 nights, though, so they could split 18 matches, 9 and 9.
Oh, my fuck. Dude, are you kidding me?
If they really have 18 matches, that's a ridiculous amount of matches.
That is disgusting.
That's stupid.
It needs to be
dumb.
like 5 and 5.
I don't understand why they would have that.
18 is absurd.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Minimum, that's 36 wrestlers.
And what's even worse is it's Easter weekend. And I feel like that just makes it even worse.
Right. So, yeah. So if there was 18 matches, that's a minimum of 36. But we know one of the matches has 3. That'd be 37 wrestlers.
Yeah.
There's no reason for... there's not 37 wrestlers you can name me right offhand. And on top of that deserve to be at WrestleMania.
Well, that's it. I just look at WrestleMania as just garbage anymore. And I know a lot of people really like it. And I'm sorry, this is just my opinion about it. I'm glad people enjoy WrestleMania, but I have seen... not every WrestleMania by any means, but I've seen quite a few WrestleManias, and not just on our show, doing our show live and stuff. I'm talking before we would watch pay-per-views with other people and just have parties and stuff like that, okay? And they are supposed to be, from what I understand of WrestleMania, this is my understanding of WrestleMania. My understanding is WrestleMania is the most elite pay-per-view you could possibly get to.
For wrestling.
Like, for wrestling. I don't care any... For wrestling, it is the most elite pay-per-view that you could possibly get to, be on, or do. And what I have seen Triple H do is make it into a participation trophy pay-per-view. Meaning that no matter who you are, you could be nobody Joe Blow off the street, barely know how to wrestle, and you're going to be on WrestleMania. To me, that means that it has no value. It means absolutely nothing. And all of this hoorah that they put towards it is just PR garbage. There's absolutely no reason to even think that it's anything more than a garbage shit regular pay-per-view that unfortunately lasts 2 days.
Right.
At this point. That's how I see it. And that's just coming from somebody who I've seen them. I've heard people talk about WrestleManias and how prestigious they were, how it was this thing that, oh my God, we got there. It's like winning the Stanley Cup. It's, I mean, I know it happens every year, but it's like getting to the Super Bowl. Those are that kind of stuff, right? That feeling, that look at it, that way of seeing it. And I don't think that that's what it is anymore. I think that they have literally gone to a point where they think that everybody should have a chance.
A WrestleMania moment.
They've made it so... It has absolutely no meaning to it whatsoever anymore. It's so blah that I don't even care. And how many... I mean, yes, I know people are still excited about seeing it and stuff like that, and I'm happy for you. I'm glad that you are. But to me, I look at it like, good God, we see these people all the fucking time, and you're telling me that they supposedly, because we've seen them so much, that they deserve a match on WrestleMania? Like, it's dumb. It's fucking stupid. I don't get it.
Fact.
But anyways, that's the end of that. So if you guys want to watch it, it's on Netflix. Otherwise, we're going to be back on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. It's a normal show. And then, of course, if you aren't aware, they are coming back to the States. Their first one sounds like is going to be in... Their Raw is going to be in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I don't know.
I don't know where SmackDown
maybe
is.
Chicago?
Sunday or Monday or Friday, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought CM Punk talked about them coming back and he was so excited because their first stop was Chicago. But maybe not. I don't know. I can't remember. Anyways, they're going to be doing their live show at their regular time. It's not going to be pre-recorded or anything, and they're back in the States for SmackDown on Friday. Yeah. So thanks everybody for hanging out with us tonight and just kind of listening to us talk about what happened and giving a breakdown and all the winners. But we'll be back on Wednesday.